Welcome to the Nourish to Thrive podcast, faith-forward, science-backed strategies for women who want more energy, less weight, and real answers. I'm your host, Tanya Pennington-Miller, a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and functional blood chemistry specialist with a master's degree in applied clinical nutrition. If you're tired of feeling dismissed by your doctor, confused by your labs, and stuck in survival mode, you're in the right place. Here, we simplify the science. We get to the root, and we anchor it all in truth, because God made your body to heal and thrive, not just survive. It just needs the right kind of support and less noise. Okay, friends, today's episode is a special one. It's my very first podcast interview. And I couldn't be more excited and honored to share this with someone who's not just one of my closest friends, but also one of the most faith-filled and wisdom-soaked women I know. Shay Greenwood is our Kingdom Life Coach inside of my alumni membership, and she has spent over 25 years mentoring women, encouraging leaders, and helping people step into who God created them to be. But her authority doesn't come from a title, it comes from a testimony. Shay and her husband and their 5 children have walked through one of the hardest diagnoses a family can face. Her husband, and listen to this, her husband is a survivor of stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer. And in the middle of it all, they chose to share their story, to write a book, and quite honestly, build a legacy of faith and hope for others who are navigating the impossible. And their journey has touched so many lives that a movie is now being written about it. Because the truth is, when God writes the story, even the suffering carries glory. Shay knows what it means to trust him in the dark, to hold on when everything feels like it's falling apart, to walk forward even when the road is uphill and it's windy. And one of the things I love most about Shay is that she doesn't just speak the truth, she is living it. And she brings humor, she brings heart, and Holy Spirit wisdom into every conversation. And she makes you believe that real change isn't just possible, but that it's promised when God is in it. And today she's going to share her own personal transformation. This is coming from someone who did not enjoy exercise and who genuinely didn't know what a carb was. Okay, to a woman who now walks in strength, in steadiness, she is anchored in grace, and supported by daily choices that she makes that actually work for her body and for her life. So this episode is going to be rich. It is going to be honest and anchored in the kind of hope that only comes from him. And I can't wait to have this conversation with her right here with you. And Shay, I'm just so excited to have you here with me today. I remember as I was going to get this podcast going and kind of decided, this will be a little bit more of a solo podcast type thing. And I reached out to you and said, this is going to be a solo podcast, but I would love for you to be my very first interview episode. And you quickly agreed. And I'm just so grateful.
What an honor. What an honor to be your first guest. And thank you for the introduction. I was just listening to it. And I think because I'm in such a big transition in my life right now, and I'm like, is that me? So thank you so much for that. That was a blessing to me.
Well, you made it easy.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's so fun to see you do this podcast because I have had you in my phone as a podcaster to my messages for the past 5 years. So, what a blessing it is for people to be able to have that in you. So I'm excited for what God is doing here. He's done a lot.
Well, thank you. It's been fun, to say the least. Really, really enjoying it. And I'm glad to share it with the world. Okay, so let's get started with some questions and let's
Yeah.
just kind of see where this conversation goes.
Okay.
I think that the audience is going to really identify with you and relate to you. So I think this is going to be really good. So I want to take it back. I want to know, what was your relationship with food and with movement before we met?
Well, it really starts from when I was little. Like I just ate, we ate whenever. There was no thought about the way that we eat and if we're eating badly. Like that wasn't even a thing. Even when I was married and started having children, we just ate food. And I knew enough to know, oh, we should eat ground turkey rather than ground beef. Like that was a thing, remember, where everybody was eating turkey instead of ground beef. And so we did things like that. But pretty much I just ate whatever. And the makeup of my body lended to that. Like I was just on the thin side. And so I could eat whatever. And that was, a joke with people who were maybe making different choices for me, healthier choices with food. And they would say things like, oh, well, you can eat that. You're not going to gain weight, that sort of thing. And so I just ate whatever. And then my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer. And I knew at that time that I was doing enough research to know we probably need to do some things differently, like processed foods needs to probably come out of our diet. And so slowly I started doing things a little bit differently. We were introduced to Chris Beats Cancer. I don't know if you know much about him, but he is big on nutrition and changing your diet and on and on. And so I just knew enough to know that we needed to do something different with Roosevelt's diagnosis. He was given 18 to 24 months to live. And now it's been 9 years and he is doing wonderfully. Um, but I'm a chocolate person. Just to give you an example of the things that I would eat, I love chocolate Pop Tarts. I literally would have that as my breakfast in the morning. Even before I was married, I had a chocolate Pop Tart every single morning. And now I think back to that, I'm like, there's no nutritional value in that whatsoever. Um, but I just ate. Like you just eat, you're hungry, you eat whatever, I really didn't think about what I was eating and if it was fueling my body the way that it needed to. And then in regards to movement, I was an athlete, I'm athletic, naturally so. But in terms of exercise, like, was that a regular thing for me? No. I mean, I would maybe go walking every now and then. I had 4 children under the age of 5 when I first started having kids, and I just didn't exercise. Um, and then when I knew I needed to start exercising, it felt boring to me. I didn't join a gym. I would just go walking and it just felt boring. I even came across a recent a Facebook post recently, and it was from maybe 7 years ago. And Roosevelt was diagnosed with cancer. I had gained 10 pounds, and the post was about that. Like I needed to do something for myself to take care of myself. I had gained 10 pounds, I was overwhelmed, you know, um, lots of things going on. And I remember writing that post and just thinking, you know, I'm, I don't exercise and this feels hard. So that's kind of my experience with food and movement. You know, I'm probably just the average person that doesn't really think about it all that much.
You know what's interesting, and you've mentioned this 2 times in different ways, and this is very real. We do this. You had mentioned how you could kind of eat, what you wanted to eat and not necessarily gain weight. And so people would say, "Oh, you can have that because you're not going to gain weight from it. I will gain weight. Okay. And then the second thing you said was, I realized I needed to start working out because I had gained 10 pounds. It's interesting how the scale is really what people go off of for
Yeah.
this type of thing, as if, oh, because you're not gaining weight, you must be healthy.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not the truth necessarily.
It is not the truth. You can be a very small, tiny person and not be healthy. And so there's a lot to this entire health journey that has a lot to do with changing the way that you think about your health.
Yeah.
And so I've had to do a lot of that. It's there's this great book called Winning the War in Your Mind. It has a lot to do with you have to change your thinking first about and that's hard. Like I can look back on that now and know my thinking needed to change, but that's not really what happened initially. It's all the habits that helped me to realize, okay, I need to do something different here. So
Yeah. Okay. So the idea of working out for you really just came down to, this is boring.
so incredibly boring. And
I hope you're watching this on video, those who are listening, because her face just like told the complete truth.
I mean, who wants to do that? And when I look, even when I look on back on it now I know, now I understand that our nervous systems play a huge role in the healing and the healing journey. What I didn't realize is that I didn't know how to relax. And so exercise felt like I have more important things to do than this. I don't have time. Like I was constantly in fight or flight. I had 4 small kids under the age of 5. And then God called me to homeschool them. And I have a business and I'm a wife and, doing all the things that who has time to go for a walk? Like I don't have time for that. I'm already busy. I'm already moving around all day. Why is that important? I just didn't know. I didn't know that that is the big rock. Have you ever heard of that example that you put the big rocks in the jar first? Like you got to put these big things in there and then all the other things are able to fit around all the most important things in your life. Because when God calls you to do all these things, you have to do the things that take care of yourself so that you can do all the things that God has called you to do. And so I know better now. I didn't know enough then to know how important these things were for my life.
Okay. So at this point, you were hungry, you ate what you wanted,
Mhm.
and exercise is boring. So what was it and what started to shift for you, and when did this start to happen?
Yeah, I think that it was when you and I met. We met in Savvy, which is a clothing company, athleisure company, network marketing company. That's how you and I met 5 years ago. And I think being around a bunch of health coaches really just caused me to start listening. First of all, you all were absolutely beautiful. Like, who wouldn't want to look like you guys? Uh,
As are you.
you're, you're so kind. Um, and I just I could see that there's a difference. So there's that. Just you start hanging around people who have that mindset, and you want that for your life too. And I was, 4 years into being a caregiver to someone who was diagnosed with cancer. And so we were already doing some things, already walking, already changing our diet, looking at different things. My mind was shifting to not just paying attention to medical doctors, but what is this other aspect of nutrition and exercise do we need to keep implementing? And so I even did some online fitness things, was paying attention to coaches that had programs and, you know, had a new outlook on the things that we were doing. But I think the one thing that caused me to do something different was Roosevelt coming to me about three about 3 years ago, and he would come to me in tears. And 3 years ago, we were 6 years into a diagnosis. We're on the other side of treatment, but he is um, on metformin and insulin because he had a second chronic diagnosis of diabetes because of a chronic use of steroids. And so he was on that. And then he was also still on a cancer drug called Zytiga, and he was taking a steroid with that. And unbeknownst to me, I started making him all these appointments because he would come to me in tears. I don't feel good. I don't know why. I don't understand, why I'm feeling the way that I feel. And I made all these doctor's appointments for him, thinking that I would find answers. And you and I were friends at the time. And so I was describing all of this to you, and you suggested and you thought about weaning him off of all the drugs that he's on. And that is really how this started, was that one thought. Like, maybe the drugs are killing him. Maybe the medicine is killing him. I don't know. Something to consider. And so once I made him an appointment to see an endocrinologist, a cardiologist. I don't know if you remember this or not, an internist, his oncologist, and no one really could give me any answers. The best answer that they gave was maybe he is having symptoms of chronic steroid use. We really don't have any other answers for him. And so that's when the journey began to wean him off of everything. That took a minute to do, but once we were on the other side of that, and we asked the doctors, what's the best way to do this? This is what we want to do. And, they helped us, you helped us. And on the other side of that, he started feeling better. And then I feel like the second thing that was the most impactful thing that I constantly am sharing with people is the 21-day detox, the sugar detox that we did. That was very telling. That taught us a lot about food and how much sugar is in everything that we're eating, and how sugar is more addictive than cocaine. What? Like, why isn't anybody saying this? And that 21 days was hard. It was hard. But we learned to then pay attention to our bodies based upon what we're eating. And we also learned that there are beautiful foods that we don't know that taste amazing because our palates are messed up. And so I remember there would be things that you would suggest eating, like, you have no taste bud. Like, this, this does not taste good. Like, what in the world is happening? But there's little things that you would say, even before that. I remember I was drinking. I would spend about a week, a month in the bed, pretty consistently in the
I
bed.
remember this.
And I told you about that. And there was a drink that I was drinking, and I'm like, I need this drink. Like, this drink has helped me not to spend a week, a month in the bed. And I'll never forget, you said, I mean, it's fine that you drink that drink, but why do you need it? I'm like, because I'm not in the bed a week, a month. Like, what do you mean? Why do I need it? That is the question. Like, it's an important question. Why do you need this thing? And what you meant by that is that what does your blood chemistry look like? So that we can then optimize your health and realize, okay, that's why you need that. And that is the question I think that most people are missing out on is they don't know what their real blood work looks like because the doctors just give you a small little window, small little taste of what your blood panel looks like. And, so there's lots of little things that have really made a huge impact on us that have helped in our health journey.
And do you need that drink today?
I don't need that drink today.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
interesting.
not at all. I don't need that drink today.
You
I,
brought up a good,
I'm not in the bed a week, a month anymore.
yeah,
Yeah. And,
yeah,
and my family knows that now. They're like, they know that there's a difference.
yeah. You brought up a good point too about, and I forgot about this conversation, but about the medications. And I think that we forget a lot of times, whether we are the ones on the medications or we're caring for somebody who is that. Now, of course, you don't want to get off any medications willy-nilly. These are conversations to have
Right.
with your doctor,
Exactly
but
right.
these are conversations to have with your doctor. And I think a lot of times we think, well, if the doctor has me on this, I must need to be on this.
Right.
And sometimes that's the truth, and sometimes it's not.
Correct. I
And
mean,
so,
that just recently with a shot that Roosevelt had been taking. It's called Zytiga, and it helps to um, strengthen your bones. He had metastatic cancer in his spine. And so, because of the radiation, it puts holes in your spine. And so that shot helps to strengthen those bones back and they don't grow back like they're supposed to. So the medication helps to formulate bone, I guess. And so he had a wisdom tooth that needed to be taken out, and you can't be on this shot and then get your wisdom tooth out. So he was off of it for 3 months before he could get his wisdom tooth out. And so thankfully, because I know you, we're at the appointment where he's about to get that shot, go back on that shot. And I asked, does he need to be on the shot? If I would, and she went, it was a nurse practitioner. She went to the oncologist and he said, no, if he doesn't want to have it, I think he's done it enough is what they said.
wow.
And like, why are they giving him something that he doesn't need? It's things like that that make me upset.
Yeah. And
You
it's
know,
up to us. We have to advocate.
but if you don't know, you don't know. And that's what's upsetting
Yeah.
is because we'll just do whatever we're told to do rather than knowing the right questions that we need to ask. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Now, over this 5 years, you have really adopted a lot of my philosophies.
uh-huh.
And was there anything in particular that really clicked for you first?
It was the sugar detox. I I remember you saying, I'm like, I love my coffee. I love my coffee. And you knew that I took cream, not just cream, guys. Like I had cream and sugar in my coffee. And I don't know if you knew that, but you said, I don't think you really like coffee. I think you like creamer. And it wasn't really even creamer. It was cream and sugar. Cream and sugar.
And you quickly said what to me? That I was wrong.
But you were wrong. I love coffee. Um, no, there's no way that you like coffee. You need cream in your coffee. You like the creamer. And it's true, even to this day. I don't put sugar in my coffee, but I do want creamer in it. And what I've also learned through that detox is that it's very much a psychological, um, I eat those foods that I'm not supposed to eat because of stress. Now, like even now. if I'm stressed, I want a cookie. I want an ice cream. And it's not like I don't have those things. I just have the more healthier version of it. And I eat it if I want it, but I don't binge, if that makes any sense. Uh, and,
Absolutely.
and so I'm making different decisions that I would have never made before. And it's really, and I'm a firm believer in your 21-day sugar detox, because that's when you learn things about your body that, pain is a great teacher. Pain is a great teacher, you know, and, and going through that, you learn what's, what should, what products, what items have sugar in it. Like, I never even thought about ketchup having sugar in it. Never thought about that. Not one time in my life, you know, um, and as we went through those 21 days, things started tasting sweet. Like, broccoli tastes sweet. Like, who knew? We were able to use cinnamon, my favorite snack was a Granny Smith apple with almond butter and cinnamon on top. Most favorite snack. And literally, Roosevelt asked me, "Did you put sugar on this?"
I remember.
Do you remember that?
I do.
And it was the cinnamon. And he's like, "Are you sure that you didn't mix this with something?" I'm like, "No." And it's because we witnessed and saw our palate changing. Things that we wouldn't have enjoyed before, we started enjoying and started craving it. And it was natural foods. Um, so I think that that's the one pivotal thing that happened that made a believer out of us, that this is going to be the thing that's going to be helpful. It was.
I have a little bit of a confession.
Mhm.
When I came to you, because I came to you and said, kind of offered the detox, because at this point, I had my DNA Reset Academy going and was about to start the detox portion with them. And you weren't in the academy yet at this point. And I really wanted you to do the detox because we had been in conversation and, things that are going on. And so I presented it to you as, I think this 21-day detox would be so fantastic for Roosevelt. And I think that he would do better if you were doing it with him to
That's
support
right.
him.
Yeah, that's right.
How did I do in my presentation?
You did a great, fabulous job. And in fact, did we do the detox twice?
You've done it twice, yes,
Okay.
because you went through
So,
my academy then after that.
yeah, the first time that we did the detox, I did not do it as strict as
I remember.
Roosevelt, because Chandler was getting married. Isn't that right?
You were going on a trip. You could actually only do it, I think, for 10 days. You were going to be flying somewhere.
Okay. I can't remember what trip it was, or I thought it was Chandler's wedding stuff, but it could have been something else. Um, Maybe I was going to Puerto Rico. Anyway, I just know that I didn't do it to the T that time, but I did the next time.
Yeah.
And it just made a big, huge difference in terms of, after it was all said and done, I was so excited to go and have a maple donut from our local coffee shop. I love maple donuts. I always got them when the kids were here. And I had a bite of that maple donut thinking I was going to eat the whole thing. And it's a maple bar, so it's big. And I had one bite. And it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And it's so good because I can eat 6 of those things. I mean, things just changed for me. And mind you, that 21 day detox, I also felt better. And so that makes a difference too. You know, now I know what you can feel like if you're willing to change things with how you eat and have nutrition be your fuel rather than all the junk food. Because even if you're trying to do something different with your diet, all these other little things can slip in. I can even have that happen now, you know, that if it starts slipping in, I can see it slipping. And then and now that I have all the tools that I need, I know where I need to go back to. And so that's a powerful thing too, that once you know the tools and the habits that help you to feel your best, then, when you feel yourself slipping, you can get back on. And that was another thing that you said to me, and I think I just lost my train of thought, was that, oh, I can't remember. It'll come back.
Well, let me know if you remember.
Okay.
Would you say that going through the detox, the most surprising thing to you was how certain foods could taste sweet that never tasted sweet before?
Correct. I was shocked by that there are sweet potatoes taste sweeter.
Yeah.
I don't have to add honey to them anymore. Of course, you're adding all this added sugar to everything because you're just so used to that taste. But once you get to that sugar detox, you don't need to add, like, I don't put sugar in my coffee. I get creamer and I put it in my coffee, but I don't need sugar added onto that. I don't need honey on things anymore. Like, I don't really need that sweet taste anymore. Um, but it's because my body is being fueled by the nutrition that it needs. And so I have the energy that I need. I have, the stamina that I need. And I didn't think, I remember now what I was going to say, that just because I'm 56 years old, just because I'm at a certain age, doesn't mean that, oh, now things are broken down and, I'm not going to feel good now. Oh, this is just a part of getting older. You have taught me, no, that is not a thing. Like, unless you, of course, have a diagnosis or something, but just because you have a lack of energy doesn't mean that you just succumb to that. Like, now I asked the question, okay, why do I feel the way I feel today? Oh, that's right. It's probably because I just got back from the beach and I need some time to get back on my routine. And so I now have the tools and I now have the mindset to question what is happening in my body that I need to, oh, I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that. Now I know the questions I need to ask myself to get back on track. And I didn't have those before. Like, I didn't even believe in those before. And so it's a lot different. Life is a whole lot different. And that has trickled down to my children.
Yeah.
And to my husband. Roosevelt said yesterday or the day before, he said, we were walking. And several days a week, he gets 10,000 steps in. And he said, I know I'm stronger. I know I feel better. And that is a blessing. It really, truly is, to be on this side. I mean, this is a man who couldn't even mow his grass, who would come to me in tears because he felt awful. And to now be on this side, and the only medicine he's on is a hormone shot every 3 months. The doctor wouldn't let me take him off of that. He said, I think you're playing with fire, even though I think I think we can be off of this, but uh, Roosevelt has to be a believer of that. And so he still has that hormone shot, but he feels great. He feels fantastic. And it's because of everything that we've been taught through your program.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
Now, as you've been going through this 5-year process, Were there things that just really felt like a struggle to you as you were implementing new things?
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, like you coming to me saying, I think that you should do this. I think I probably even pressed back a little bit and said, like everything, especially when you're a caregiver, everything feels hard.
Yeah.
And so there is if you're under stress, if you have a lot of things on your plate, and now you're going to add one more thing that I have to do. And let's just back up a little bit. Like I already had a little chip on my shoulder. Like I have done so much change in my life for you, God. Like this can get a conversation to God that I'm already doing all these things. And now you want me to do one more thing. Like I need this cup of coffee with all the creamer and sugar in it. I need this maple donut. I need these things. And you're going to take these away from me too? You know, like that's the conversation that, I probably was having, but didn't realize the conversation I was having in my head. And so that made it tough is that I'm already going through traumatic events. And here's one more thing that I don't get to have. Um, and so I had to process and work through a lot of that, a lot of, just again, winning the war in my mind that was already happening. And so again, that's why the detox to me is pivotal because you have to have a clear mind. I think if you're constantly still having these foods that are strongholds, they're helping you not to have a clear mind. And I know now that when I'm stressed, I want the things that I'm not supposed to have because it's like a drug. Like you think that that's the thing that's going to relieve you. But, and do I have it? Yeah, I have it. And then I realized, oh, well, that wasn't the thing that's helping me to heal. Like that's not it. It's the walk. It's the walk outside in the sun, in the air, doing my breathing exercises. That is healing when I'm stressed.
Well, it's also physiological, right? Because when we're stressed, now we're producing cortisol, and the main purpose of cortisol is release glucose into your bloodstream so that you can go burn it off, but you're not burning it off, you're just sitting here stressed. And that's going to make you hungry because now we have this blood sugar dysregulation.
Right.
Right. So it's not this thing of willpower. It's really a physiological response in your body.
And those are the things that I know better now.
Yeah.
Like we don't even know the science behind all of this. Like I'm still learning those things. And, when I first met you, I didn't even know what a carb was. Talked about that, like what, I don't know what a carb is. Like, what are the carbs in this meal right here? And so, yeah, it's learning. I wish that they would teach this in school. I think we would be so much better off knowing these things and practicing these things. Like I said, my kids, they're in their 20s, the first four. Adam's at home, and he has some issues with nutrition. Like we've had to teach him, and just seeing him read the back of packages and saying, I can't eat that. We were at the grocery store the other day, and there's a whole display of powdered donuts. And he's like, Mom, do you remember we used to eat these? we, and we looked at them, and we looked at the ingredient on the back, and, the package says bioengineered foods. Like, what in the world? Why are we eating something that's not even nutritional? And we think it tastes good. Now that we've gone through a detox, though, we don't even want it. Like our palate has changed. There's no way that you could have told me that we would be eating the way we eat now. No way. I would not, I don't even think I ever even ate a sweet potato like that. I didn't even buy them. I would have never, I can't, I have yet to take a spoon and put it in Greek yogurt and put it in my mouth. But I can put Greek yogurt on my sweet potato.
Yes.
I can add my Greek yogurt with, some spicy sauce, from Primal Kitchen, mix it together and put it on my egg. But I never take a spoonful of yogurt and stuck it in my mouth because it's like, you know, that's me. Like I was not eating foods that fueled my body on a regular basis. And so you couldn't have told me that I would have changed all of that and lived the way that I live now. And my kids are following in those footsteps. They're eating differently. They're making different choices, but it really started with us.
It is so true.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember how you pushed through? If pushed through is the word you'd want to use, but when you were having these conversations with God about, my coffee too, my donuts too, because I didn't force you to do anything, right? But you continued to make these decisions for yourself,
Well,
even though.
yeah, I think that, Roosevelt feeling the way that he was feeling, I knew I needed to do something different because he will do whatever it is that I say. And he will say, I'm alive today because of you.
Mm.
I'm not God. I am not his savior. But God has given to me wisdom in his health journey that only has come from God in some pivotal areas for him that God used in his healing process. And so I knew that if I didn't, then Roosevelt wasn't. I knew that if I didn't, we wouldn't have the answers that we have about Adam. And so then, you start going through the motions, and it is a very slow process. This is not something that happens overnight. Um, but as it went on, I started feeling better. I started implementing the things that I needed to implement. And if you don't read, I just forgot about this. I I came to a head with all of my perimenopausal things and thought I was dying.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
My blood pressure was high. I felt awful. Um, I had yet to do my blood chemistry yet, right? Like I think we did the sugar detox the year before this, right? We might have done the DNA reset, but I had yet to do my own blood chemistry panel. And with the near death experience that I had, I mean, I felt awful. Even talking about it right now, like, I'm feeling some physical, symptoms of just how I felt. And that's when I got my blood work done. And that's when I started doing the supplementation. So my nutrition started first. And then we got the blood work done. And you said, okay, you're not dying. One day we're all dying, but you're not dying today. And you didn't use your little red pen on my blood work, but there were things there that we could optimize. And so I'd say that the 21-day detox was the first impactful thing. And then the second would be the blood chemistry and looking at a full panel of what was happening in my body to cause me to feel so awful. And then from there, I received the protocols for the supplementation, and I just started healing. And once you know that you can feel differently with all the same stuff going on in your lives, I think that just makes a believer out of you.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that feeling.
I don't want to lose that. And I don't want to go back to being in the bed for a week.
Yeah.
Because it was not just that whole week, it was the week prior to leading up to that week. And then it was the week after that you're
Recovering from that week.
recovered from the week that you were in the bed with all the laundry, and, then you're gearing up for the next time. I mean, you don't want to live that way if you don't have to.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to. And so as I started getting better, Roosevelt was getting better. And then we recognized what foods would cause us to not feel the best. And so, things just changed from that. And, I feel like we're still on a journey. But things happen much more automatically now. It's not a chore for me to exercise, or, most days I'm getting 10,000 steps in. And I just have you call it a rhythm. I just have a rhythm now that this is how I live. This is what I do. I wear athleisure clothes in the morning, and I go and I walk in the morning, and I look at my weather app to see, is it going to rain today? And I'm already planning for my walk in the afternoon. And I know that if I eat something, it's good for me to get out and walk for 10 minutes, to help regulate my blood sugar. And Roosevelt knows that too. And, this is just how we live. This is what we do. And I'm still working, and I'm a mom, I'm a wife, but I have to do these other things around all of that to be my most effective, to do the things that God has called me to do. And so I'm so thankful for your program, thankful for your mission to help people feel their best.
It's interesting too that you bring up the 21-day detox, which is something that actually, if you're listening right now, will be opening for enrollment during the month of July. I did not ask Shay to bring this up even once, and so it's funny. But that will be coming soon. This is July of 2025. And if you're listening to this much later, just know that this is something I open for enrollment throughout the year. But that is coming.
Yeah.
But okay, so I think we have a really good idea of, kind of how your food journey started, sort of where you are now, how it makes you feel. You've mentioned movement and walking, but what I want to know is, how do you feel about exercise now? Is it boring?
Oh, it's never boring. And that's just because, again, there's this whole change of thinking. So when I'm walking, I'm looking at the sun. I'm looking at how it's rising. I'm looking at the setting, how it's going down. Or I live in this incredible neighborhood that has this open space in the middle of our neighborhood where our swimming pool is, and just an open field. And we all who live in this neighborhood feel like we have the best sunsets. And we think it's because we're able to see it because of this big openness in our neighborhood. And so we have incredible sunsets here and sunrises. And I'm listening for the birds, and I'm enjoying nature. God intended, which I never had these thoughts before. Satan will see that my mind has changed, that I never thought, oh, I should go outside and put my feet in the ground so I can realize there's something bigger than me. here at work. And we take it for granted. We take it for granted that God intended for us to wake up and see the sun. He intended for us to put our feet in the ground and realize that He is there for us. So I think just realizing that and thinking about that differently, your program really helped me with that. I was doing fitness programs before. I did a couple of online fitness programs before. I don't remember anybody telling me I should go walking and worship creation, you know? And so that has helped me to see this so much bigger than exercise. And, sweating is important because that provides a detox. I've joined a gym. That has been a crucial part of my whole health journey because then you're hanging out with people who are like-minded. My gym friends are my friends. Like we celebrate birthdays together. We get together. That whole community of women, um, have made a difference in this health journey also. So I feel like that's so much bigger than just exercise. Uh, I haven't been able to go to the gym as much because I have tennis elbow right now. Um, my son said to me, "You're just getting old, Mom." And I'm like, "Nope, I am not getting old. I am an athlete." And that again, your mind has to shift. Like, I'm an athlete, and this is what happens when you're an athlete. Sometimes you have injuries, and it doesn't mean you just stop exercising. It means that you find something else that you can do. And so I've been walking regularly and getting, at least 10,000 steps in several times a week. Um, and so that's the difference right now until my elbow heals. Then I'll go back to the gym. So
So, given all of that, and I love this because I think in the past, you mentioned that if you had planned to go on a walk today, but then, oh gosh, it's raining, guess I can't go on a walk, to where now you mentioned that you open up your app to see, do I need to walk sooner? Am I going to need to walk later? What do I need to do to miss the weather?
correct. That's
Right.
exactly right. Yeah. So like today, there's a 15% chance that it's going to rain at 8 tonight. And normally it go about 7:15, 7:30. But this morning I did not go I didn't walk this morning. And generally every morning I walk. This morning I didn't walk. And it was because I drank too much coffee yesterday. Like I just had a glorious day and I wanted iced coffee. And so I had that about 2 o'clock yesterday. Well, when my eyes are still open at 12 last night, I'm like, you shouldn't have had that second cup of coffee. And I ran out of the Peak Valley coffee. And I feel like adding that to my habits of drinking that coffee, I thought it really didn't have a positive impact. Like I didn't know, but now I know. So I had to go back to my coffee and it's too much caffeine.
Yeah.
And so now that I know that, I think I need to order that coffee again. But anyway, so I didn't walk this morning because today was going to be a relaxing day. So I didn't walk this morning, but I looked at my app to say, okay, what time do I need to walk tonight? Start walking tonight to get it all in. So yeah.
I do love Peak State. I'll actually leave a link in the show notes for that. They have Peak State Coffee has what's called stress less coffee. And so, yes, it's a bit lower in caffeine, but has some adaptogens and mushrooms. And it's a really nice way to start the morning without a complete injection of caffeine.
Yeah. And I think when you're used to that injection, like I initially started drinking it. And what I'll do is I'll add 1 scoop of my coffee in with that. And that has made it better for me. I don't know why. But I don't feel too high or
Yeah.
too low, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. And it was one of those things that I had to adjust how like I had to make it stronger, because I didn't really like it initially. But the thing is that you have to at least try things that are better for you, because it really is our mindset. We've done it one way for so long that we just, what did you hire a health coach for if you're not going to do what your health coach asks you to do?
Yeah.
What are you doing here? And I'd say that, if you have a health coach and you're not doing what they've asked you to do, it's like, okay, why?
It's human nature though, isn't it?
I think so. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We live in a fallen world and we have desires in this world. We have things we like, things we love.
I, I want what I want when I want it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, what would you say then to the woman who's listening and she still feels like it is just too hard, it's out of reach, it's overwhelming? What would you say to her?
I would say, who do you want to become? Like I'd start there. Like, who do you want to become? What are your struggles? What are you struggling with right now? You know, who is it that you want to be? Because it really starts with that, you know? Like, I didn't want to be in the bed a week out of the month when you were telling me that I didn't have to be, like, you could help me. I didn't want my husband to be in tears every single day, not feeling good when you were saying, I think I can help you with that, And so there are answers for how we're feeling. And so I wanted something different. I wanted my life to be different. And it is now. Like, and I'm able to get it all in, and that's what we think is that I don't have time. I don't have time for this. And so I'd say just who do you want to become and pick one thing. I think it should be the sugar detox. Even though that feels hard, don't do it by yourself. Do it with a friend.
Yeah.
Well, Roosevelt and I did it together. And so I'd say if you sign up for that, sign up with you and a friend and, solicit somebody to do it with you. Because it's better when you have accountability. It's harder if you're just doing it all by yourself.
Yeah. Then you have somebody to complain with that I'm only allowing one apple per day.
That's right.
Right.
Like what? I don't like it. What
That doesn't make sense. Fruit is good for you. It's healthy.
and a green banana? Like who eats a green banana? Yeah.
Okay. So then I would love to hear if you could go back and talk to the Shay that I met 5 years ago, what would you tell her today?
I would tell her that you're going to make it. I was so overwhelmed during that time. I mean, I'm not a crier, but I can cry right now thinking about how overwhelmed I was. I just come from a company I'd been with for 20 years that closed, starting a new business. My husband's not feeling well. Um, I think I just moved into a new house, just a couple years prior. There's just a lot of change going on. And I knew I didn't feel my best, but I was just pushing through. And so I would just tell that girl to hold on, help is coming. Just be open, to what God has for you. You're going to make it.
So good. I have watched you go from I hate working out. Am I correct that you may have used the word hate for working out?
Sure I did. Sure I did.
To, someone who now truly moves from a place of love and stewardship for your body. And I just really want the women who are listening to know that this didn't and doesn't happen overnight. It can happen. And when it does, it is just so completely worth it. And, I strongly believe that, we don't cross paths with each other by accident, that God has a plan. And I'm just so grateful that He had a plan for us to cross paths and that we were obedient in, grabbing onto each other. And you have added so much to my life. It's just, if I ever am having any type of feeling or, even if I think, my gosh, when is my husband going to throw out this garbage that we are now pushing down to China because it's overflowing, but that's his job to do, is take out the trash. I know I can reach out to you and you somehow throw God into that conversation. And I love you. I adore you. I love your family. And just thank you for helping my ladies in the membership.
It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to speak into their lives. And I know how valuable this program is. And I know how the enemy is going to try to convince women that they can't do it.
Yeah.
So anything I can do to help your ladies, or even anybody that's listening to this podcast right now, just know that your feelings are normal. Like, we all go through the same stuff. And I think because we live in this social media world, we see people on social media, we think that nobody is feeling the way that I'm feeling. Nobody's going through what I'm going through. And it's so not true. Like, just because you see me with redder lipstick on today, I know now how to feel my best.
Yeah.
And it's because I have habits and tools and things that I rely upon. But we all start the same, and I think pain is our greatest teacher. Let pain teach you. Let it help you to pay attention to what's happening in your life so it doesn't turn into suffering, And I think that if you're feeling like you're not feeling your best, then it's worth it. You're worth it to jump in and figure out what's really happening. And it's optimizing your health. Your doctor is never going to say that to you. Your doctor is never going to say, how can I help you to feel your best? Trust me, I've been to doctors. I know how they talk, and they'll just say, everything looks okay to me.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to say, well, this is what I think you should do to help you to feel your best. And that's where, that 21-day detox, that's where it begins. Is, you have to figure out how you can allow nutrition and supplements to fuel you. But it starts with the detox, and it starts with that blood chemistry to identify that. So,
well, I will leave a link to the wait list in the show notes. And I also, Shay, would love for you, as we kind of wrap this up, to let the listeners know where they can find you. As I mentioned, Shay is a Kingdom Life coach, and she is just incredible at what she does and helping you find your way. And I also would love for you to share, because you are doing something a bit new for over a year now, helping people to eat healthier. So I would love for you to share a bit about that before we end today.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Shay Greenwood, just my name, Shay, and then Greenwood, just like it sounds. And I would love for you to come and find me. You can message me, let me know that you have found me, so I can know that you're there. And then I am what Ellsworth Foods calls a wellness consultant. That was one of the biggest frustrations for me as a caregiver, knowing that I needed to feed my husband better food, going to the grocery store felt overwhelming. And even during the detox, it felt overwhelming to go. And you start reading the back of labels and you cannot believe that you can't eat any of the foods that you were eating before. And so you just taught us how to look for those things. And that takes time too. Like we can do a whole segment on just how to pick out food. And so during that time, I came across, I was looking for a job at that time, just some different transitions with the network marketing company that we were with, and just feeling like God was calling me after homeschooling all these years that, oh, I can get a job. And so I found a job for this food company. And that's what I get to do now is I help families have farm to table proteins and vegetables with no antibiotics, no growth hormones, no steroids, no fillers, no dyes. And it's the food that I want to feed my family. And I get to share that with other families. And so we deliver in bulk to most places east of the Rockies. And it's been so fun to help families have food, nutritious food, the food that your body needs in their freezers. And so it's so fun.
I love that. And I am not east of the Rockies, so I am not one of Shay's customers. But if you are, I highly recommend that you reach out and chat with her about that, because just incredible to have all your foods in your freezer that you need.
Yeah. And
Healthy
I can
foods.
give you the link to that. So if they want
Perfect.
have more information about that, they can have that too.
Wonderful. Well, you can expect to see more of Shay on this podcast. She will be back. So if you enjoyed it, stay tuned. You will be seeing more of her. And Shay, just thank you so much for coming on.
I'm so excited about everyone being able to have you in their phones. Like I have had the pleasure of having you in my ear for the past 5 years. You are such an incredible blessing to me and my family. So I thank God for you.
Thank you so much, Shay. And we'll see you on the next podcast.
You guys.
That's it for today on the Nourish to Thrive podcast. If you found value here, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or send it to someone who's walking a similar path. Keep showing up, keep asking questions, and know that healing is possible, especially when you trust the one who designed your body to heal. Until next time, stay rooted in truth and nourished in grace.